as we bear with the loss of attention, for anyone that's cared about me, I've indeed changed my shirt to be a little bit more personalized for this special occasion as we wrap up the day and head towards happy hour. So personalization is one of these topics. It's been tough both for brands and agencies really to nail it down, where to begin, right? We all understand that it's really important. So we figured we'd invite a couple of industry experts on the brand, the product, the search side, and whatever value I can hopefully add here to share our opinions. I want to give an opportunity for everyone to introduce themselves. Second time hitting, so everyone knows who I am, and we're sick of it, but why don't we start?
Sure. I'm Dave Wisdom. I'm VP of Solutions and Strategy at Bloomreach. I came from Exponia, one of Bloomreach's acquisitions in early 2021. My side of the business has continued to integrate with our commerce operations. Many of you may have known Bloomreach from search, merchandising, and kind of overall kind of content management in a headless fashion. And then what we've done is integrated customer data and marketing automation into that. And we'll talk about that in terms of personalization strategy as well. So.
Hi there. I don't know if I'm on. You guys hear me? Yeah. Kind of.
Closer to the mouth there.
Is this better?
Yeah, it looks on.
Okay, we think we're on. So, first of all, this venue is really fun. This is very cool. My kids don't think I'm that funny, but if I tell them that I was on stage at Laugh Boston, I'm going to get a lot of cred for this. I'm Joan Abrams, and I head up the direct-to-consumer business at Dorel Home Furnishings. And most of you probably haven't heard of Dorel, but it's likely that you have some of our products in your house. So if you have ever assembled furniture that comes flat out of a box, first of all, I'm sorry about that. But we probably manufactured that. And Dorel is one of the largest furniture manufacturers in North America, selling over $1 billion worth of furniture every year. We manufacture in Canada, the US, and Asia. And we sell primarily to Amazon, Wayfair, Target, Walmart, big retailers. But I joined Dorel 2 years ago to start the direct-to-consumer business. So the last panel was extremely relevant. I've lived through everything that they talked about. Anyway, so our direct-to-consumer business is very small right now. We're hoping to grow it, but we're a manufacturer trying to communicate and sell directly to the consumer.
Hello. And I'm Matt Jarman from Searchspring. We work in the on-site shopper experience, so anything around on-site search, on-site merchandising, or personalization are where we primarily focus, from the smallest Shopify brands to the largest custom-built brands or retailers. So we focus primarily on that. Other than that, I'm a girl dad of a 2-year-old baby girl, and I live in Charlotte.
Oh, in Charlotte. So we might have been on the same plane. We both hiked it up here alongside our friends from Bloomreach. I don't know where you're from.
New York City.
Oh, jeez. A lot of time spent on the Lower East Side. But in talking about those points of impact, sort of the personalized experience, maybe we'll start a dogfight. That's always fun at the end of the day. But I'm kind of curious to get everyone's opinions of the best place of impact for personalization, right? When we talk about personalization, it can come from the communications we're having with customers, personalizing search, not showing Jared yoga pants if he's looking for joggers, things like that. So everyone's different definition of personalization differs a little bit. Curious about where you think people should start, right? If they don't feel like they have a personalization strategy, where do you start?
I'll jump in. I won't start a fight. I think the number one way that a company will know if somebody will purchase something is if they've purchased before. So obviously, a vast majority of sessions do not convert a customer, right? The customers that have converted have given you a great deal of information, right, about what they're looking for, what they're browsing for, and also you now have a history with them. Like you mentioned, girl dad, I have boy-girl twins that are 6, right? I bought a cream-colored couch a month before COVID hit in March of 2020, and that couch is going to be replaced and has been cleaned multiple times. But if I know now what I knew then, I wouldn't have bought a cream-colored couch, right? But a lot of the companies that I bought those products from are continuing to send, color-neutral products, specifically tailored toward people without young kids, right? They kind of have a frozen in time picture of me from 2020. So what we believe generally personalization is having as close to a real-time view of what somebody's doing in that session, if you can, right? But pairing it with maybe 60 months or 75 months or sometimes 10 years of information, especially, for example, in furnishings, as we talked about before this panel, right? You might have a ton of information about what somebody's preferences are. So like basically having a system that has long-term memory as well as kind of a short-term kind of ability to, and not just chat or like, talking about AI and chatbots, but also just saying we have a good hypothesis about what they are going to want next, and we're going to try to then reach them in the appropriate channel with the appropriate timing as well. So that's kind of our working definition of personalization.
Yeah, I totally agree with you that the best predictor of what somebody is going to want is from what they previously purchased. But the stage that we're at in our company, in my business, is all the customers are new, right? We're just starting out. We're a very small business within a large company. We don't have a lot of repeat customers yet. So we have to make the shopping experience as maybe not personal, but as relevant as possible, right?
Yeah.
So when somebody comes to the site, the first thing we do is we ask them, what room are you shopping for? So we can help narrow it down for them. Super basic, but if we didn't have that, we have 5,000 some products on the site, they'd be all over the place. So it's trying to be really super relevant during the experience. And you first said, where is the best place for personalization? And my answer was everywhere in the shopping experience. Right?
That's certainly the hope.
There's
right?
not just one place. It's really throughout the shopping experience.
Even out on the wider internet, right? And within social properties, ad retargeting, things like that. Like, I'm sure as your kind of cohorts have emerged of first-time customers, those that are becoming second-time customers, you're starting to see patterns emerge in data as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're starting to see, things that are we can be really unique and flexible in. Like if you go to Amazon, you're searching for some piece of furniture, like what you want. You don't just go there browsing because it's a nightmare, right? But one of the best emails that we had recently was we did a Barbie email. So we put together all of our pink furniture and sent out an email for pink furniture. And it did super well. I mean, how do you ever predict that? But it did great. We're also doing really well with other really unique collections. So we've come up with our She Shed collection. We have a Coastal Grandmother collection where we're just putting together items that meet that aesthetic. That's more on the merchandising side. We also have a man cave collection, which is kind of like, I feel like I'm sitting in it right now.
That's 2 jokes for you, keeping track. She's gotten all the good laughs so far. So, what do you think?
I think it's important to take a step back and think about what is personalization actually, because it can mean so many different things to so many different vendors, brands, industries with different types of customers. It could be a one-to-one experience based on Matt came to the site, Matt clicked on this, Matt clicked on that, now we're going to show him this. But it could also be a location-based experience. It could also be a segmented experience, which isn't necessarily personalization, but we could say, hey, Matt is a newcomer to the site, and when he comes to the site, we want to show him these types of products based on what we know about our newcomers. So I think that's important. And then to segue into what we know about our customers, everyone knows their customer, or thinks they do. A vendor doesn't know your customer. A technology doesn't know your customer. And so thinking about, hey, what does my customer want to experience, or what do I want my customer to experience? So to get back to the question, what's the best place for personalization? It can be everywhere, and it probably should be, but it could be nowhere as well. Like, you know your customer, and you know how your customer wants to shop, and if they come to your site and you put yourselves in their shoes, you know that you want to touch them with this kind of recommendation before they even get to a PLP or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think a lot of the things we're talking about and we've talked throughout the day, is digesting data and being able to turn back, at least marginally customized experience. During you just talked about it, which is what room are you shopping for? So at least from that level of data, you're able to guide it. I'm curious, and we'll start with you, with Dorel. As you guys have taken this journey of starting to personalize, I'm kind of curious if data has become an overwhelming thing of which data should we use to power these experiences, and then I'd love to turn it over to the gentleman of how their platforms are starting to think about this.
So we're certainly using all the data that we can gather in the shopping experience from customers. I don't think it's overwhelming yet. Certainly as our business scales, it probably will get to be more challenging. But I would say use every data point that you can.
Yeah. I'm curious how you guys or what kind of indicators you're using to try to determine, interest or how you're segmenting your customers. Is any of that automated, or a lot of it today is you going in and starting to build these cohorts and sort of segments of customers, and then figuring out how do we build experiences that allow for personalization?
It's certainly both, right? So on the site, we are using technology that will help make recommendations. So someone's looking at a bed or a baby crib, we're obviously going to show them recommendations for other nursery items. And so if somebody's searching, we're starting to use AI in our on-site search instead of us trying to come up with or think of every possible word unique to furniture that we could put in our linguistics dictionary. We're letting AI determine what should be in there, and that's a huge, huge help. But we're also doing the manual work of building collections, right? Of understanding, I don't think AI understands coastal grandmother aesthetic yet, right?
I bet that image would be really weird, though.
No, we also have a lot of coastal furniture, that wicker, blues, whites, that kind of look. So it's both. It's coming up with our own collections as well as using the data and the tools to help make the shopping experience more personalized and more relevant.
I think one other thing that popped into my mind here is that AI and machine learning and a lot of these systems can be really helpful at accelerating purchases, but it can be from the wrong populations, right? We ask a lot of our companies that are coming to us, who are your 100 worst customers, right? In terms of returns, in terms of complaints, in terms of huge shipping fees, in terms of fulfillment of, they may buy 5 of something. You've done free shipping, or or they promo code hunt, right? Or they do all these various behaviors. We have talked to customers recently where personalization is turning off or hitting the breaker on those customers. No more emails, no more SMSs, no more promo codes, kind of playing whack-a-mole with trying to keep them off your site. You can't do that. But what you can do is stop pouring accelerant on the fire. That is your profit margins. And so I think personalization can also be a form of defense. And also it can be customer service too, right? If somebody adds 3 different pairs of shoes to their cart, for example, they may just not know what size to buy, or they're going to buy all 3 and then they're going to return 2, and you might have to, again, remainder them, ship them off, sometimes landfill them, unfortunately, depending on the product or type. So I think personalization is also about saying, hey, we're going to double down on our profitable customers, and that's usually, about 20 or 30% are your most profitable customers. Then you have kind of your middle. And we're starting to see a lot of those data teams emerge and saying, hey, we know the signals of who's going to be a profitable buyer, and we also really know the signals of negative buyers. And it's not, you don't want to make it miserable for them, but you want to kind of guide them into a more profitable or better behavior, or change your understanding of the way you're doing, rules-based or structured merchandising to say, let's put these products first for these types of customers, just so that we don't put discounted merchandise in front of them where they're going to further drive down your margin. I think that's really, from a business perspective, I think that's a really important part as well.
Thinking about the data, I would kind of go to the beginning where we're talking about the data we're talking about the product data, because with personalization and with AI and all these buzzwords, it's only as good as the data that goes into it. And I talk to merchants all day, every day, who say their data is good or their data is bad, and most of the time when they say their data is good, their data is bad. And there's a lot of different types of stinky data. Like you could have, hey, we only have a couple product attributes. Well, you can't really personalize off of that. Or you could have, hey, we have a bunch of data, but we're a retailer and we get our data from a million different sources, and you can't really personalize on that either, because if we're thinking about Shopify and we have, we're a boutique and we are, we tag products based on color. If we have color :black and color -black and color pipe black, those are 3 different tags, and we can't use those to personalize a customer that clicks on the black shirt that may need to see this black shirt, but we can't because of the data. So the product data matters, to, I think, Andrew at Feedonomics' point. And then thinking about the data that comes out as well, a lot of times merchants on the success side will fixate on all these metrics and all these KPIs, and we need to raise our AOV and our CTR and all these different things that, they matter to an extent, but at the end of the day, you have to focus on what are we trying to do? Is it incrementally increase transactions, or are we trying to play the long game and start a relationship with our customer and tell that brand story? So just some thoughts.
I think that's one of the most powerful things. And actually, I was just at Bloomreach was kind enough to host an AI-focused summit. If anyone hasn't checked it out, I guess quick plug.
The Edge Summit.
The Edge Summit.
Everything was recorded. There's a lot of great content.
There's a lot of good content. I learned a lot. But AI has been a buzzword in and out of our industry. But I think as it comes to personalization, it's one of the things that really stood out from all the great talks at that event was the fact that AI can be your sort of personal assistant. I'm kind of curious on the brand side how brands are thinking about potentially leveraging AI to build personalized experiences, and then oppositely, how our friends at Searchspring and sort of Bloomreach are thinking of AI as part of the offerings that they want to put out to the market. Maybe we'll start with you if you don't mind.
Sure. So whether it's AI or any other technology, it really needs to, so it needs to be relevant. We've said that before. It also needs to be in the right place at the right time. So we sell furniture, but when we were looking at how do we do cart upsells and how do we do add-ons and additional sales to boost our AOV, it really came down to, if somebody's buying a bed, they don't need another bed. So the product recommendations are kind of weird. So we actually added items to our site, working with some dropship suppliers to sell accessories, to sell bedding, to sell other lower ticket items that we don't sell. We don't manufacture those, but we're working with partners and they sell those so that we can help the person outfit the whole room. So I guess what I'm saying is that the technology is one piece of it, but what is your offering and how does it come together and does it make sense and is it compelling for the customer?
I agree with you on a lot of points, Joan. I think AI is cool and ChatGPT is cool, and I use it to find a recipe for tonight so I don't argue with my wife about what we're eating, and that's really cool. But I think it's all about who's driving the AI ultimately. And I think the point I want to bring up is just around A/B testing and being able to say, hey, on my search experience, on my merchandising experience, on my post-purchase, on my communication, I'm going to test out these things and see if they work because they're cool tools at my disposal. But I'm also going to test out maybe a rules-based way, and I'm also going to test out maybe a manual way to ultimately figure out, again, going back to what metrics are we focused on or what are we trying to accomplish and which things do the right things. Only other thing I wanted to note around just the use of AI in your overall communications is making sure that you have systems that either A, talk to each other, so you have a cohesive experience from the time they get to your site from the first time to when they become a repeat customer, or systems that are very similar in what they're offering, and you can coordinate to be able to say, I want this to display this because of this type of customer, and I want this to display this because of this type of segment, and so on.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're working on as well is these tools. For example, we're launching something called contextual personalization, right? Because A/B testing can also be the least bad of two alternatives, right? Somebody can say, wow, I've optimized it. I picked A. A was the best winner. I was like, but was that always the winner on Tuesday mornings when you generally run this test because you're doing it at a specific time? Is there channel dependency? So what we've started doing, for example, contextual personalization is saying, hey, what's the overall goal? And then what are secondary goals, right? Like, is add to cart and or, like you said, lifetime value or revenue per session, but also is number of products engaged with, right? Number of categories engaged with, especially like you're saying, if decor and accessories are a category you're trying to grow and that makes the cart and or the customer more sticky, what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, all right, it was A1, B2, and C3, and those are the best combinations, and then we're gonna tend to serve that recipe up more often, as opposed to waiting to test A, B, and C against each other. So I find machine learning and those tools, right? We talked about, we have a product kind of recipe or element that we're talking about right now. One of the ingredients that we're launching is Lumi, which is really just the way we talk about our portfolio of learning tools, right? Because Lumi, in this case, is just saying, hey, when we see people buy these things together, that may be a bundle. And if we see it happen 100 times, that may be something that you productize over time, or like you said, you put rules around it. So it's a good helper tool. It's saying, oh, by the way, we should put these high margin items first because that's our house brand, right? We're not paying for somebody else's IP and brand on top of that. And I think the next thing that's coming for us from a product perspective, and we talked about it at Edge, was something called Clarity, which is really going to be an interactive system that takes advantage of our almost 15 years of product search and search SEO and various other optimized ways that human beings are looking for patterns when they talked about products, but then also what are all the channels that somebody can interact with, and making sure that that's as close to real time as possible. We send them an SMS, they click on it, that should immediately suppress the email. If they land on the site and we've transferred their identity there from the email they clicked on, we should know their 5 years of purchase history, and so on and so forth. Then when they start engaging in conversation, it's as informed as we can by that immediate context and those variables, but also, like we said, that lifetime interaction with you. So I think AI is a great tool, but as a black box, it's going to make you worse as a business because you'll become dumber over time as you over rely on those tools unless you understand why it made its decisions. And like we said, we've heard about algorithmic bias. We've heard about the ethics of AI. These commerce systems can also, I see it a lot. Again, I'm not trying to call out Amazon, but we've seen those random string of consonants and vowel brand names for 78 products that are the exact same product, but one's 39, one's 79, one's 19. It's literally an algorithm just trying to game the system to get the most amount of revenue out of your pocket, and there are 100 different ways they can sponsor for that. So that is an example of the customer is not first there. It's the revenue and, again, the company doing it, not their customer experience. So I've actually started shifting more back towards brand names, right? At mainline, B2C retailers, for example. Like I've tended to avoid Amazon more, and I've gone to Walmart and seen what Panasonic or Sony or whatever these other vendors are. What is their Bluetooth speaker? What is their rechargeable battery? Because not that the products are bad, but they don't necessarily understand the long-term context of what I'm trying to do. So.
Yeah, I think that's one of the advances is, and actually, Raj, who's your CEO, he coined a term or a concept that I thought was really interesting, and illuminated to me the fact that AI, we're getting there. It's a useful support, a Robin to your Batman in a lot of your endeavors. But this idea of seekers versus searchers, which is what you were just talking about, and I think that's some of the ways in which we've been trying to deploy Searchspring and Bloomreach along some of our brand partners. But what we always tell people is, first of all, when we talk about AI, philosophically, I believe that the robots are not here to steal our jobs, and that's not going to be happening for a long time. So that was sort of my foot in the sand. But one of the most important things as you look at personalization or think about AI in general is the human element in preparing. So as we wrap things up here, and let's keep it open as we're about to hit the open bar, is, what can people do to prepare? In my opinion, it's get to know your customers. Don't rely upon the technology to make all the decisions, because that's where you can get what the term in AI is hallucinations. You don't want to hallucinate. But what can people do, as they start their personalization? Maybe AI is part of that, maybe it's not. What are a tip or two?
I'm going to take the easy way out and agree with you, because I look at personalization as the person when you walk into the store and says, what can I help you find? 70% of people are going to say, I'm good, just browsing, I don't want to talk to you. And the other 30 are going to say, hey, I need a this size pair of pants. So it's getting to know your customers, figuring out what percentage of customers wants to do that type of thing and what kind of scenarios, and then deploying the right types of tools or strategies in those placements to obviously optimize whatever you're trying to optimize.
So I agree with you too.
This is rare, guys.
Okay, so in terms of getting to know your customers, I literally get every single order on my phone. I guess that gives you an idea of, like, we're still pretty small, but I get a notification for every single order, and I look at them. And the AI tools are going to serve what is working, right? So we're seeing that customers are buying a lot of blue furniture. So blue is very trendy right now in furniture pieces. So the automated systems are serving up more and more blue items, which is great, right? Except until we run out. So it's me that has to recognize that trend and say, okay, we're selling a ton of blue stuff. I need to then talk to the merchants, and I need to talk to the buyers, and I need to alert them, and I need to get involved in the production to make more blue furniture. Things like that. You have to, you can use the tools, and the tools are great in serving that up, but there needs to be that human element to it. So they're not coming for our jobs yet.
I really want to just disagree with you, but no, I'm not going to. No, I think that the analogy I've used a lot is, we have, for example, in formation of relationships, right? We have a lot of algorithms matching various people, right, based on characteristics. They have said, I am interested in X, Y, and Z. Here are my interests. Here are these various things. I think that customers are more and more willing to give you more information if you're approaching them with an open, curious mindset, right? People call it zero-party data. People call it, answers to questions. But there's a time and a place for that. And often the best time is either in the moment or as they're forming a relationship with you. Not just what room are you searching for, what is your color palette? Barbie is $1 billion movie. I mean, that's insane in terms of, it's the biggest Warner Brothers movie of all time. There's a lot of different factors in play there, but there's a bunch of things that can be unpacked. It's not just the pink, right? It's not just the characteristics of the movie or the IP of Mattel and so on. There's a bunch of things. And if you ask customers what they're looking for, but also say, what are you interested in? What's your vibe? What's your aesthetic? Give them visual examples, right? With generative AI, you can give visual examples, and you can even generate things on the fly, like Coastal Grandmother, right? For example, and show that. And maybe you filter that so you don't have random hallucinations. But you ask them, is this kind of what you're looking for? This product may not even exist yet. And also, the equivalent of, we saw that you bought these 3 things together. Are they going in the same room? Yes, no, right? That might be a bundle that we consider. So again, all of these things helping along and asking questions. Be curious. That's how human beings like to interact. We like to kind of bounce off each other. And we all know what it's like to have one guy on the panel talk the whole time. I'm joking, but the bottom line is we want to make sure that when we approach customers, we just have wide open listening ears, and then we can kind of piece together their narrative and their story over time, right? When we kind of go through that process at the end, and so that we can draw from that real learning as opposed to just better automation, right?
Absolutely amazing. I wish we could switch seats. This would have been good. The couch also looks quite comfortable. So with that, I wanted to open up. I know we're just at time here, but wanted to make sure there was an opportunity if there were any questions. Otherwise, we will be moving over there for a quick happy hour before Corey hits the stage. Wonderful. Thank you so much to my amazing panel here.
Thank you all.
And we'll see you in the bar.